Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining us today is George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, and the company today have released an update from their Zulu project. So George, welcome back onto Stockbox. How are you doing?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm fine, and it's good to be chatting to you.
Yes, well, thank you very much for your time, George. I remember that last time we spoke, we were speaking of the preliminary drill results, and also I think you mentioned there was a third drill rig on the way to the site. Did that materialize in the end?
Yes, we have 3 rigs turning at the moment.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have 3 rigs currently turning then. So the announcement today was that you've completed now 24 drill holes and 11 borehole samples. There's a lot of data there in the RNS, but from what you've just said, that the drill program is not complete. There is still ongoing. So what are your highlights from the RNS today? And please, can you give us your take on the current status of the exploration program at Zulu?
Sure. Thanks very much. Look, the important takeaways on this are that of the 11 holes that have been fully sampled, where samples have been delivered to the independent assay lab, those all relate to Step Out Zone 1. Now, Step Out Zone 1 is still open on strike. We don't know how far it goes. We have a lot more work to do on it. But we had some very good intersections in it, and we look forward to those assay results. The next thing is that immediately to the south of where we had planned, or where our original resource had been described, we've now been drilling and extending to the south. Mm-hmm. And we've had some really good intersections of pegmatite. And that was the prime focus of that RNS, was to really look at some of those. There are, unfortunately, I don't have assay results to go with it yet. It's going to take just a little while for that. But our geos are very confident in the descriptions that they've given to the kind of mineralization they have. And that's contained in the RNS. So where they're seeing significant spodumene intersections and so on and so forth, I have no reason to doubt that those are absolutely correct. And as I've already said, the most important thing is that this is beyond where our initial inferred mineral resource was described. Mm-hmm. So this is all additional and upside. Mm. The other comment that I've made refers to the exclusive prospecting order area that we have, the EPO, and some of the remote sensing and some of the ground truthing that we're starting to do in regard to that indicates to us that we really have got a very, very big area that is potentially well mineralized with this same pegmatite material. Obviously, it's got to be drilled, and there's a lot more work that's got to be done on it. But the remote sensing and so on indicates to us that we've got big continuities of mineralized areas. This is for LCD pegmatite, still to be uncovered and discovered. And also, there are some structures and features that are now apparent in the remote sensing work that we've done that have never been described before. Our EPO area lies adjacent to the side and a little bit of the Fort Rickson greenstone belt. And there are some other interesting targets for other minerals contained there as well. Mm-hmm. So overall, it's not just the known Zulu claims that are exciting us and the size and expansions we expect. But also within the EPO area, it really is looking like we have this thing could be a world-class deposit.
Okay, and how much time is left to go on the drill program at the moment?
Well, we originally budgeted to do 20,000 meters. Whether we'll need to do all of 20,000 meters for DFS purposes, I don't think so at all.
Okay.
What we needed to do for DFS purposes was to elevate the level of confidence in the declared resource from inferred to at least indicated, firstly. Secondly, logically expand it in the immediate vicinity. For example, the scoping study originally described 2 pits. It seems to us that those 2 pits are going to coalesce into one. That in itself increases the resource. So the third objective of the drilling program was, in fact, to increase the overall size of the resource.
Okay.
Now, that's in relation, and then in relation to the DFS, are certain other things like geotechnical work and so on that we needed to do. Now, that's not going to take 20,000 meters of drilling. And a lot of that has pretty well been done anyway, subject to assay sampling and so on and so forth. So the ongoing drilling and most of the additional, if we get to 20,000 meters, is going to relate to additional discovery, overall increases in resource, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not the fact that I think the point that I'm making is that we don't have to do 20,000 meters to complete the DFS.
Sure. So you look to stop when you think you've got enough to complete your DFS.
Well, we won't necessarily stop drilling, but we'll stop drilling for purposes of the DFS.
Sure.
So we're not far off that already. We've got a lot of additional samples collected and so on. So, the rate of, I think the point I'm really trying to make is that the rate of drilling has, at this stage, has got very little to do with the rate at which we're able to progress and look to finish the DFS.
Okay. And are you still seeing consistency between the holes like you were when we last spoke?
Oh, very much so. Very, very much so. We're looking, as we get the holes logged, we're looking to bring them into the resource model. And the sort of preliminary views I'm hearing are that it's all holding up very nicely.
Okay.
I've got to wait for results to come in and ultimately the whole thing to be remodeled and so on before that can be confirmed. But it all looks as though it's holding up and leading to a very nice end result.
Okay, so the results in the table in the RNS, are they visual? Are they more visual based? Is that what they are? Where you've got a description there of what it is that's I guess you can see in the core?
It's entirely visually based.
Yeah.
There are some photographs we'll be posting on our Twitter account and so on of that mineralization, and I think that it's our geos are very confident in what they're reporting.
Okay.
They say it's distinctive and it is what they say it is.
Okay. So what's your sort of expected timeline then, both for getting some results back from the assay, then also building it into the DFS? You've got an idea in mind?
Yeah, my idea would have been yesterday. But unfortunately, I'm in the hands of others here. I really, we were given an estimate for first assay results of between 23 and 26th of November. I think that's pretty well now. But I have to emphasize that I really am in the hands of somebody else. If they have a machine breakdown or something like that, it's beyond my control. And then the other thing is that when we get these things in, we've got to sort them out, tabulate them, get them into perspective, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So there's, it isn't a case of get a printout from an independent assay lab and run off to RNS. It isn't that easy.
So as soon as, really. Okay, that's fair enough.
Yes, yeah.
The final point I want to ask you is something that you mentioned in the RNSA, which is Premier was in discussions with interested parties regarding investment into Zulu, and you've said that you can confirm that due diligence visits are underway. Would you like to elaborate on that a bit more?
I can't disclose who. I can only say what I've said in the RNS that there are a number of parties talking to us. that certain parties have, pursuant to NDAs and so on, have/are in the process of doing their own DD, including site visits, inspection of core, etc., etc. I think that somebody takes the time to send a technical team to go and look at what you're doing and inspect the core and so on. It says to me that they're pretty serious about wanting to try and negotiate anything. I don't have any definitive offers on the table at this stage, and I haven't been chasing any. I feel that the project speaks for itself, that the further down the road we go, the greater the value. There's clearly quite a competitive, for want of a better word, environment at the moment in terms of accessing quality hard rock lithium projects. We're seeing it with the different people that are wanting to talk to us, and from where they are. And I think probably the most interesting thing is that they really are they're not just from one country anymore. This is from at least 3 or 4 major locations, different international destinations that are talking to us. So it's quite widely spaced, the interest. I wish I could say more. I wish I could say more, but I can't, unfortunately.
Of course, I understand that. But it must make you feel good about what you've got and the work that you're doing, the fact that other people, other companies are interested, are visiting the site and carrying out due diligence. That must make you feel confident about what you've got.
Sure, of course. I've been saying for a long time that I think this thing has got world-class potential. I think what we're seeing coming out of the ground and the rigs at the moment tends to confirm it. I mean, I mentioned rigs. Just let me just make this point that we only drill core. We're not doing any RC or reverse circulation drilling at all. So when you get into these mineralized zones, it's slow. It's not a quick thing. And so if you're not hitting, when you're drilling diamond core, if you're not hitting any pegmatite, you'll go much quicker than if you're hitting pegmatite. So sometimes an indication of relatively slow movement through them is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. Anyway.
Well, George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, thank you very much for giving us that update today.
That's a pleasure indeed. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.